Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for joining me today for this lightning talk. My name is Kaustubh Phatak. I work with Platform 9 Systems, and my today's topic is distributed benchmarking service. So we'll go over these things mainly. What is a benchmarking? What is a benchmarking service? Why we need it? Then the current options we have to benchmark our OpenStack cloud. Then the cloud is the tool is called Openstack Rally. We'll go over the basic high-level architecture of it and what are the limitations for that. And then we'll look at our improved design for OpenStack Rally and a demo, and then what needs to be done more. So let's get started. So what is a benchmark? A benchmark is monitoring the performance of your system. I know we buy expensive hardware for hypervisors, for storage nodes, and it's really important to get the performance matrix for that. You can't just rely on what industry says. It depends on your particular use case. So that's why we need benchmark. And OpenStack has a really good benchmarking tool called OpenStack Rally. It also has a networking benchmarking tool called OpenStack Shaker. So at Platform 9, we deploy a lot of OpenStack controller services like Nova APIs, Keystone, Cinder APIs. And it's really important for us to test it and detect the design flaws or detect the configuration problems beforehand, before delivering it to our customers. So, and to get the better hardware performance on the hardware we are currently deploying it on. So we were looking at the available tools for that, and we came across OpenStack Rally. So we, at Platform 9, we deploy multiple clouds, and there was a need for us to benchmark those clouds in a multi-user environment. And the current tool, OpenStack Rally, doesn't really support that. It's a CLI-only tool, and it's not really scalable when you have too many clouds to benchmark on. Also, it's not that user-friendly to use if you are not really an OpenStack developer. You have to create virtual environment, you have to create the project, and then you can actually start the test. This is the same case with OpenStack Shaker, where you have to do it on the CLI. There is really no multi-user mode. And you can only benchmark one cloud at a time. So let's go over the high-level architecture of OpenStack Rally. It's a tool which actually tests your current working OpenStack environment. So in this picture, the rectangular box, which has CLI and benchmarking engine, is the core part of the tool. A user interacts with the CLI and sends the data or the test which you really want to run on your cloud via benchmarking engine. When it runs the benchmark on the cloud, it gets the results, and those are stored in the database. This database can be local or can be an external database. As you can clearly see, this is one user environment. You can't really scale it if you want to benchmark 10 clouds, OpenStack clouds at a time. We had the same problem. So we did little modification and made use of really good Kubernetes environment and Kubernetes constructs. So in this improved diagram, the rightmost block where you see Rally worker is the only thing which runs Rally. The other parts, as they are written by us, and I'll tell you what each box does. Each dotted box is Kubernetes pod. A pod is a logical unit for group of containers. So all these are deployed in a container, in containers, and the rectangular box is Kubernetes logical separation called Kubernetes namespace. So the first box, front end, is standard UI, which is served by Nginx. The backend containers are they are Python Flask API servers, which you can horizontally scale. So if you have 500,000 users, I know this is not possible for benchmarking tool, but you can scale it at that level. The third box is RabbitMQ containers, where we deployed a publisher-subscriber model. So user sends the data to front end to back end via APIs, and that is posted on RabbitMQ broker queue, which is being subscribed by the actual Rally worker. The Rally worker is Celery scheduler containers with Rally installed on it by default. So if you compare this to the previous diagram, here you have only one user interacting with the CLI. In the improved design, you can have multiple users communicating with the RabbitMQ broker, and you can have multiple workers communicating and testing with multiple clouds. And all that data is stored in database, which is outside of Kubernetes. It's an external database which you can back up. The really cool feature about Rally is it gives you trends reports, like how well your cloud performed over the period of time. And over the period of time, you ran multiple tests. It gives you trends across all those. So it's really difficult if you have multiple clouds. You can't really compare if the previous performance was better or worse than the current performance after you say upgraded from Newton to Ukata. With this, you can actually see those trends side by side. I have a short demo for that. So let's go over. Sorry. So here, these 4 are Kubernetes pods, which are deployed as I showed you in the diagram. Now, this is the minimalistic UI we designed for Rally. And I'm adding the OpenRC credentials, which is standard OpenStack identity format credentials with the environment variables. So after we add this, we'll be able to run a particular benchmarking task. So let's give it some time. Okay. So now we have the demo environment added to Rally database. So now I'll paste the standard Tempest JSON document or benchmarking test document, which this specifically one boots Nova instances. You can specify 100 instances in iterations and everything. So after this task is run, you'll get the report which is provided by Rally itself. These are all the tasks you will see deployed or ran on multiple clouds you have. So you have production, you have dev, and you can run that and see what ran on what. We also expose the standard Rally trend reports with this. So you just paste the deployment ID and you'll get what test it ran before and how well it performed. So here, the Keystone user create ran on all those times over the period of time. So you get a bit better understanding of how well your cloud is performing after you made some changes. Coming back to the project itself, it's very basic in stage right now. It needs some improvements. The first improvement is adding more support for other benchmarking tools. OpenStack has a couple more benchmarking tools. One of them is Shaker, which is really good. It tests your data plane through and through. So we want to add support for that. As you saw, the UI is pretty minimalistic right now. We want to improve that as well. Also, this is not behind any authentication right now. And we want to do it, we want to have authentication via Keystone, the standard OpenStack one. Also, Rally has embedded support for plugins, where you can specify your own formats and run the specific tests on your cloud. We want to add support for that in the UI as well. So this helped us a lot for understanding how our upgrade process works, what more we need to do to have a stable OpenStack environment. So this was my lightning talk. If you guys have any questions, do let me know. Thank you.